Hi.
Hola.
Hi, hier ist Mr. Joseph.
This is Michael Bradley.
Hey, I'm Memphis.
Hey.
Hola. Hello.
I'm here with soccer.com.
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 And I'm talking with my friends soccer.com.
See you soon.
Hey guys, Josh from SoccerReviewsForYou.com, bringing you my review plus on-feet video of the brand new TechCraft 2.0 Nike Mercurial Vapor 11. Now inside the box, along with the shoes, they do include a string bag, which I have right here. You can see it's black in color with the silver Nike TechCraft logo there on the front. And of course, along with that bag, you'll get the shoes themselves, which I have right here. For those that don't know, this is essentially a kangaroo leather variation of the Nike Mercurial Vapor 11, normally made from Teijin synthetic. So of course, in today's video, we're gonna go over all the details on the fit, feel, and overall performance. So if you are interested in learning more, stick around, watch the entire video. If you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, there'll be a little pop-up on screen, as well as the first link down below. That'll take you to the review page on my website, where you'll find Buy It Now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes, where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal $230 retail price. So again, if you're interested in a pair, little pop-up on screen, first link down below, go ahead and check it out. And with that being said, let's get right into the review. To start things off, let's talk tech specs. Now, obviously the Mercurial Vapor has pretty much always been a Teijin synthetic shoe. They did way back with the Vapor 1 a kangaroo leather variation. It was limited to 2 colorways. I'm not sure that they made very many of them, but it was a pretty cool shoe. Going back to the Vapor 10 now, the previous model to this, they had the original TechCraft pack, which if you guys don't know what that is and you want to learn a little bit more about it, I'll leave a little pop-up on screen to my playtest video on the entire pack. That was a Vapor 10 with a legitimate kangaroo leather upper that I would argue is a little bit softer and a little bit nicer than what you get here on the Vapor 11, but we'll get to this in just a second. So the upper on this shoe is listed as, it is a kangaroo leather, I'll say that, but it's listed as Allegria leather. Also, I've seen it listed by Nike as Algeria leather. I don't know if it's a typo or if even Nike doesn't know themselves what it's actually called or what they're calling it. But it is kangaroo leather. They've listed it both ways on their website in different spots. So again, who knows what the proper term is? It doesn't really even matter that much. I'm going to call it Allegria leather just for the sake of giving it a name, but it is in fact a variation of kangaroo leather. With that said, this is a very, very thin kangaroo leather. You can see the side profile here where it cuts out around the Nike swoosh. It's super, super thin, but there's a synthetic leather liner on the inside that kind of takes away from the softness of this pretty thin kangaroo leather. So on the inside, and it's difficult for me to show you guys, you're gonna have a synthetic leather material almost similar to what you're gonna find on the liner itself. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it does take away from the softness against your foot, and it does add another layer of material. So when you put this shoe on, unlike the Vapor 10 TechCraft, which had a very soft leather-like sensation on your foot, this is a lot firmer and quite honestly feels very similar to that of a regular pair of Vapor 11s. After you break them in and once the leather softens up a little bit, it will feel more leather-like than a regular Vapor 11 would. But for the most part, if you're looking to buy this shoe expecting a super soft leather sensation on your foot with the shape and profile of the Vapor, that's not necessarily what you're getting here. This, like I said, doesn't feel too far off from a regular Vapor 11 in terms of the overall fit and feel. Touch on the ball, a little bit of a different story. Again, you get a slight pad sensation from this leather material. It's also thicker than the standard Teijin synthetic, so again, not quite as thin overall, so it's not going to have quite the same barefoot sensation, although I definitely would still consider this to be a barefoot feel. And they did actually maintain the speed rib texturing, so this upper is very, very similar to what you're going to find on the TechCraft 2.0 Superfly 5. And again, it's leather, but it doesn't necessarily have that super traditional feel that I think a lot of people who might be interested in something like this would actually want. The other thing worth noting is the texturing on the surface of the leather, which has this almost kind of suede finish to it. There's kind of lasered out or embossed texturing that you can see scattered throughout the entire upper. It adds a little bit of a, I guess, softness to the touch, but not necessarily something that has much of an impact in terms of actual grip on the ball. It kind of just reacts and feels like a normal leather upper. Again, there's synthetic kind of cutaways where the actual swoosh is positioned, so you don't necessarily have leather in that spot or on this spot right here on the medial side. And it does still maintain your ACC all conditions control, your wet control element. Not really a major feature. You're also going to find seams that are kind of hidden within the actual texturing itself, right here, as well as right here through the midfoot. So these are spots that you wouldn't normally have seams with the synthetic Vapor 11, just because it's a different material. They're dealing with natural materials like leather versus synthetic, where they can play around with that stuff a little bit more easily. So this does require some extra seams because of the fact that it is natural material, and they did include actual leather here on the back portion of the shoe, which they didn't necessarily have to, but they did, I think, mainly for aesthetic reasons. They maintain the one-piece construction, which I think is really nice, and that's part of the reason why this shoe does maintain a very similar feel on foot to that of the standard Vapor 11. This is still that synthetic material that's slightly elasticated, so again, pretty similar to that of the standard model. Low cut, just like a Vapor 11, same internal plastic heel counter, same heel liner, synthetic leather material, insole fully removable, mesh liner on top. You can see they do have the Nike TechCraft logo right there at the heel. And it's the same insole you'd find, again, on a regular Vapor. Same thing on the Superfly 5 as well. It's this ortholite material that actually is quite good in terms of underfoot cushioning. Moving on to the sole plate and stud pattern. This is their Nike Plate sole plate, which it does share, again, with the Superfly 5. It's a one-piece vacuum forming process that they use in manufacturing that allows them to make one single layer of material for the entire sole plate, as opposed to having multiple layers. So the benefit of this is, one, it makes for a lighter product, so they are able to shave a little bit of extra weight out of the sole plate because of this one-piece process. And two, it allows them to actually add shape to the base of the sole plate as opposed to leaving it completely flat. So because of this, you sit ever so slightly in the sole plate. If you can imagine my hand as a foot and the desk as kind of the base of a standard sole plate that's completely flat, there's potential to slide around on that flat base. With this, there's very slight dips in the heel as well as in the forefoot where your foot sits slightly in the sole plate. It kind of sinks in a little bit. So because of that, if you can imagine, again, my hand kind of sinking into this desk ever so slightly, if pressure is applied from side to side, it's going to stay in place. It's not going to move around. And with that, you really do get a true connected, responsive sensation with this particular method, which I think just works very, very well. You notice it for the first 10-20 minutes. When you put them on for the first time, it's very noticeable, but something you get used to very quickly, and it does have a legitimate impact on the performance and general responsiveness of the shoe. It prevents your foot from sliding around on the inside. When you combine that with an upper that is pretty tight fitting and pretty, structurally sound, as what you get here with the Vapor 11, even the TechCraft variation, because of that synthetic leather liner, it just makes for an extremely kind of one-to-one responsive sensation that is more or less unmatched by pretty much any other shoe other than maybe the Superfly 5, which I would say isn't necessarily better or worse, more so just on par. They also did add to the actual sole plate. It's not really, it's just an extra piece, but a little extension guard like you'd find on a regular Vapor 11 right here, lining the edge of the sole plate through the forefoot and toe box area, just as a reinforcement piece for the upper itself in kind of the high wear zone. And then as far as the stud pattern is concerned, this is the firm ground variation, the only variation available for the TechCraft 2.0 pack. And it's very, very aggressive, as you would expect from the Mercurial line. You can see they're pretty much all the same shape and size, that chevron kind of style bladed stud. But it's very, very good in terms of how it works. Super aggressive, plenty of grip when pushing off in pretty much any direction. And on natural grass playing surfaces, it's as aggressive as it gets. So if you've worn Mercurials in the past, you kind of know what to expect. And again, if you just want aggressive traction in general, this is one of the better options, if not the best option out there. In regards to weight, I thought we'd compare the TechCraft 2.0 version of the Vapor 11 to the standard synthetic model to see if there's any significant weight difference between the two. So keep in mind, these are both in brand new condition and both the exact same size 9 US. This is a very fair comparison. We'll start off with the standard Vapor 11, throw it on the scale, and you can see that they weigh in at a very, very lightweight 5.9 ounces, the equivalent of 168 grams. Change the scale back to ounces, remember those numbers, and we'll throw on the TechCraft 2.0 variation. You can see that they weigh in at 6.35 ounces, the equivalent of 180 grams. So you're talking about a weight difference of about 11 grams or 0.45 ounces. Pretty minimal, but the TechCraft model does weigh a little bit more, mainly because you do just have pretty much extra material on the upper. The base isn't Teijin synthetic, but when you have the leather with the synthetic liner, Again, it's just thicker material, which is obviously going to weigh a little bit more. Is the weight difference super significant? Not necessarily. You're not going to notice all that much of a difference when the shoes are actually on your feet. The big difference more so is going to be the touch on the ball, and that this is a little bit thicker and slightly more padded than what you're going to get from the Vapor 11, which is pretty much as thin as it gets. Aesthetically, I think the TechCraft 2.0 pack in general looks very good, and the Vapor 11 is no different. You have the black and metallic silver color combination, which is, in my opinion, a really nice combo. The majority of the shoe is black. Black leather upper with that embossed pattern, and I think is a nice little extra detail that actually looks quite good in person. You're going to find the metallic silver outline on the one swoosh here with the matte black filling in the middle. A silver swoosh right here on the medial side, which I feel like that should have been filled in black as well, but they decided to do it this way for whatever reason. Black laces, silver details, and the ACC branding and Nike swoosh. You got the Mercurial logo down the back with some synthetic leather material, which actually looks pretty good. The silver rim around the edge of the sole plate, and then black along the bottom. So again, pretty straightforward, very low profile. I think somebody who would be interested in a leather variation of any of the current Nike models would probably want something in a darker, kind of less loud color scheme anyway. So I think for the audience that would be interested in a TechCraft 2.0 shoe, this is a pretty good choice of colors, at least in my opinion. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Do you like how these look? Why or why not? And with that being said, let's move on to the on-feet portion of the video so we can get a better idea as to how these shoes fit, feel, and of course, what the sizing is like. All right, so here is a look at the TechCraft Vapors on feet. On my left foot, I have the stock black laces that come with the shoes, and on my right foot, I have a pair of metallic silver reflective SR4U replacement laces. If you're interested in a pair of replacement laces for yourself, the website to go to is www.sr4ulaces.com. There'll be a little pop-up on screen as well as a link down below in the description that'll take you directly there. So if you're interested in a pair, be sure to go ahead and check that out. Now, in terms of how these things fit on feet in comparison to a regular pair of Vapor 11s, they feel a little bit thicker, which is to be expected because of the leather upper. But they also feel stiffer, which I think is something that, again, a lot of people probably wouldn't expect from a leather variation of the Vapor. That doesn't really have to do with the leather. It has more so to do with that synthetic leather liner that, out of the box, like I said, doesn't necessarily have the softness against your foot that you would expect. The shoes will soften up significantly as you wear them in. Leather just softens up the more and more you wear it. That's to be expected. It's going to react like a normal leather shoe, but it still maintains the tight fit because of that synthetic liner. It's not necessarily going to stretch as much as a straight up leather shoe will. And again, it doesn't have that super soft traditional feel against your foot that you would expect from a leather upper. So for the most part, this is essentially just a slightly thicker, slightly more padded variation of what you're going to get from a standard Vapor 11, more so in terms of touch on the ball as opposed to actual feel. So for the most part, it feels like a regular Vapor, but it's going to offer, like I said, a slightly thicker touch on the ball, not quite as thin, at least where the leather is. Across the top of the foot, it's the same thickness as a regular Vapor 11 because there isn't any leather there. So overall, I don't necessarily dislike how they feel on feet, but it's not drastically different from a regular pair of Vapor 11s if that's what you were expecting. As far as the width of the shoe is concerned, it maintains pretty much the same shape as a regular Vapor, which again, kind of to be expected, a very tight fitting shoe. And even though that it is leather, again, that synthetic liner is going to restrict the amount of stretch you're going to get out of this shoe. So still a very tight fitting shoe, not necessarily recommended for wider foot types. So if you have wide feet, or you just don't like tight fitting shoes, probably stay away from the Mercurial line altogether, especially the Vapor, I would say. And as far as sizing is concerned, I'm wearing my usual size 9 US here, and the fit and the length is absolutely perfect. So if you are looking to order a pair of these for yourself, I would strongly recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. All right, guys, that's it for my review of the TechCraft 2.0 Nike Mercurial Vapor 11. If you guys are interested in a pair of these for yourself, you can either click the very first link down below or the I in the corner of the screen. That'll take you to the review page on my website where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes where you'll be able to pick these guys up below their normal $230 retail price. If you have any questions regarding this shoe, leave them down below in the comments and I definitely will get an answer out to you. If you enjoyed today's video, found it helpful and informative, be sure to support it with a like. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all of my social media information linked in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. And as always, thanks for watching.